Welcome back, Washed Up Walkons fans. Episode 128 of the Washed Up Walkons podcast, a.k.a. the intro to the pilot of the new and improved Washed Up Walkons podcast, a.k.a. a side podcast, the Burn It Down podcast, where we're just going to get into all sorts of degeneracy that we like to talk about. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun, and it's going to give us different outlets to talk about different things. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So, Kluver, how about you intro it?
Yes, Drake, no problem. What's that you say? Another podcast by these three assholes? That's correct. That
you heard around degeneracy only.
You heard right. Us, the three Washed Up Walk-Ons getting
boring dorks.
With boring dorks merch coming soon. Merch update in a second. If we could exceed the amount of narcissism that we've already hit, we decided really. Leave Kevin out of this because it wasn't his decision. We've decided that Kevin's here, and he looks dapper as hell. Look at him. Hey, congrats on your niece/nephew. Is it a boy or girl? Being baptized today. It's a big deal. We're gonna be on another podcast, and it's gonna be called the Burn It Down podcast. This is part of the Washed Up Walk-Ons evolving, and we're going to talk about that in a second. The current podcast that you're listening to about Iowa football, Iowa sports, it's going to stay the same. Literally nothing is going to change, so don't worry about that. We are here, episode 128. Couldn't be happier. It's a beautiful Sunday here in Walkeye, Iowa. I don't know. I'm sure it is in Arizona as well, probably blazing balls hot. And it's probably
been over 110 all week.
That is horrible. It got to a heat index of 100 here, and I thought that my face was going to melt off. So, and I'm sure it's similar in Iowa City with Kevin. Here we are, and I'm happy to be here. We're going to catch up on some things today because there's some stuff that's happened in the Iowa world. Some current event news. There's some stuff that's happening in the regular world, some Washed Up Walk-Ons world stuff. So we're going to catch you up on all of that. But first, again, to all those new ears that we have listening to the podcast these days, there are opportunities to follow us and support us in other ways just in listening to the podcast. First, if you're listening on iTunes, please, after the show, or you could pause this right now, go and subscribe, hit the subscribe, get us on that automatic download so that you have our new episode just like that every time it comes out. And also give us a rate and review because those rates and reviews push us up. We have for the last, we're in this whole podcast world. We for the last, since kind of all this news broke, we've been a top 150 sports podcast in the United States for over a month now. And I don't know how the hell that works.
That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Now,
I thought we were boring.
We are boring. Shout out DJK, boring dorks.
Sure.
If you go to Apple right now, the top sports podcast in the United States, you can find us on the page. Right. Last time I checked, we were about three spots behind Shaq on the list, and I thought that was really cool.
Are we in front of anybody cool or?
A couple people that are definitely notable. No Barstool people, Barstool and a couple others are way at the top, but we're working, baby.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Definitely not me.
Hey, and this is the perfect opportunity now that we've just announced our popularity to let you guys know that we're unofficially sponsored by Gray's Restaurant, and we're going to continue to be unofficially sponsored by them until we're officially sponsored by them. So please go eat at Gray's Restaurant because they're great food and great people.
I'll claim to be unofficially or officially sponsored by Gray's until I die. Go Pete and Kim. Back to the news. So another huge thing for us that we're trying to get moving and grooving is we post the YouTube version of our episodes a week after they come out in audio version on our YouTube page. Search Washed Up Walk-Ons on YouTube and please subscribe. Go right now. It takes 30 seconds. That video version and the YouTube edition of our brand could have a lot of really cool shit happen down the line if we continue to grow. The only way for us to continue to grow is to continuing to add ways to monetize this thing. Growing our YouTube channel will do that.
Kevin will start pulling his butt cheeks out on camera if you guys will start subscribing.
Hey, man, you throw enough Benjis on the floor, I'll do just about anything.
Everyone has their
Every
price.
man's got a price.
Everybody has a price. Let's move on. So thank you for subscribing, listening, all of that kind of bullshit stuff that most people would ask you to do. I'm asking you to do it. Let's move on to a little bit of a merch.
Flash my tips for them so that they can.
Well, I mean, Kevin on that 4th of July episode last week, he had the chest out. He was at the lake chilling. But let's move on. Merch update. I realized that back before all this Iowa shit went down, we were just about to launch a new merch line. It was going to be the summer merch line. There was all this cool shit, tank tops, Heart Don't Have Stars, graphic tees, the fucking Kirk's Dogs, all this stuff. So
really need that Kirk's Dogs shirt out ASAP.
And I got some news.
ASAP.
I got some news. So
I need my sunglasses.
Okay. So the Iowa stuff breaks and it's like, oh no, what are we going to do? Because let's be honest, when the university was just getting pelted with, just a ton of all the shit, kind of a bad time for us to release a merch line and be like, hey, buy this stuff supporting Iowa football and the Washed Up Walkons. It was very selfish and just like to be.
And yeah. Tone deaf, not a good time, read the room type thing.
Yeah, and to be honest, financially, it wouldn't have done as well as if we just waited and let things cool down. So Drake has completely evolved Pokemon style into his 3rd evolution, total asshole.
Listen, man.
I'll
just keep evolving.
And so, anyway.
I was not watching. Drake just keeps putting on more stuff on his face, which is good because no one wants to see his face anyway.
It's not a great face. So where are we at with the Washed Up Walkons merchandise? What new designs do we have? When is the new stuff going to be here? All of this, right? So here's what we're looking at. The Rona slowed us down. It delayed us. We decided, screw it. We're gonna push it back. He's now wearing an Aaron Hernandez jersey. Okay.
Where did you get that jersey?
That's an evolution.
I was gifted the Randy Moss jersey from a former Patriot.
Oh, okay, we thought it was a Hernandez jersey.
I thought it was a Hernandez.
They wore the same number, right?
They wore the same number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe 87 or I don't. Oh, that was Gronk. Okay. So in this next merch line, we are not only going to have the items that we've had in the past. So you've got your Hawks by a Million shirts. You've got your Have a Day sign. You've got your Wash Up Walk-Ons, just general brand stuff. But we're also adding the Heart Don't Have Stars, that circle with the stars crossed out logo. There's going to be some cool graphic stuff for that. There's going to be tank tops available. Hawks by a Million tank tops, all of the designs on the tank tops. We're hoping, again, Dale in the university, kind of being slow on this one. We're hoping to get some big-ass 3x5 foot flags, tailgate flags, to fly high with your American flag and your Iowa flag at your tailgate or in your man cave. We're going to get some of those.
Can we get some bigger ones, like the ones you see like out on the highway with the big old, like the ones you see at a car dealership, like the big flags. I want the biggest flag we can get,
like a 30x50 flag.
Yeah, like the ones that they bring out in the entire field.
Yeah,
Hawks by a Million flag that big.
We'll work on that one.
And right after we play the national anthem, we can bring that flag out in the field, and we can play the fight song.
That would actually be insanity.
That's what I want. That's my dream right there.
So we're working on the flag. We heard you. We are going to be releasing, hopefully soon. I've been in contact with, and I'll tell you the back and forth. We finally got a Kirk's Dogs design. All right. For any of you who have followed George Kittle back when he was a Hawkeye and now still as a 49er, every once in a while when he posts about the Hawkeyes, he uses the hashtag Kirk's Dogs. And we've got a design. I took it to the university. It got approved by the university. We have to also go through KF's agent, Neil Cornrich. I was on the goddamn phone with Neil's office the other day.
Respect.
He said,
why don't we just get a hold of one of our teammates who are,
right,
you know,
represented
got him
by
as an agent, and we can just, you know.
So the guy I was talking to was not Neil directly, but said that there shouldn't be any problem. They wanted to make sure that because we were using KF's name that we weren't making like extra money off of it based like whatever. We weren't. So he said that it should probably not be a big deal. That should be probably coming through this week. And we're going to have a Kirk's Dogs design that you guys are probably going to flip shit over. I love it.
I think it's sick.
Team KF, baby, all the day. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
You thought you were gonna get KF out of office? That's our fucking president. That's the president of the state of Iowa. Bitch, you thought.
Fuck out of here.
Okay, so we got all that coming, and now because the Rona Chronicles keep on rolling, and masks are going to be mandated in your sleep sometime soon, we're going to be coming out with HBAM masks, Hawks by a Million on your mouthpiece, so that if you have to wear a mask, you have to be somewhere that you need a mask, you're going to be able to wear a Hawks by a Million and rep that merch and rep the Hawks. And that's what's going on. All right. That's enough. That's enough of updates. All right. We got the merch. We got what did I talk about first? Oh, the YouTube and all that stuff. Real quickly, before we continue, onto the real Iowa stuff. Drake mentioned at the top of the hour. I sound like a goddamn radio host. Drake
you really do. Like the more we've gone from episode like 1 to 40, and then from 40 on, you're just like a radio host, dude. Me and Kevin are the color commentary,
right?
And you just keep us headed down the right track.
As our host Drake Kulik mentioned at the top of the hour, we're going to be bringing in a new podcast for you guys soon here, and it's going to be something special. Been working on it for a while, and we're real excited.
Why I'm having a nice cigar like like AJ Hawk does on the Pat McAfee show, because it's a new McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk 2.0.
Right. Basically, what happened is the corona hit Drake hard. One day, he was like, "What?" Drake basically threatened to quit.
I quit the podcast.
He quit. Drake legitimately quit the podcast for a day. He said
I'm
something.
Retired, and don't try and get me out of it. I was Conor McGregor.
He was like, I'm bored of the Washed Up Walk On stuff. We don't have anything to talk about. Like, I'm getting bored of just talking about Iowa stuff. Like, and what really was happening was the corona was getting to Drake, and that Arizona sun was getting to his head a little bit, and Drake just wanted to talk about some other stuff. Drake likes UFC. Drake likes other sports. He wants to do some other.
Drake likes getting educated on politics. I mean, we can have smart people on this thing to talk about other things than football. Like, we can have Beef Ward on to talk to us all about economics and building businesses and things like that. Like, that's some pretty pertinent fucking information here, folks.
I think so too.
So are we just trying to turn into Joe Rogan over here and just have like people from all over the fucking place?
Listen, man, that's the Burn It Down podcast, because if we can get knowledge to the people so that they can make investments, whether it be in degeneracy, whether it be in business, whether it be wherever they want in their lives, they're just going to burn it down, man. And that's what we're looking for.
So what you're hearing is there is going to be a completely separate show. You're going to have to go and find we'll blast it out once we record and we finally go after it. It's going to be a show where Drake and I, most of the time, Kevin occasionally when he can join, we'll sit down and we're going to talk about current events, other sports, UFC, NFL, MLB, hockey.
All types of betting lines so that we can try and make everybody some good money.
Right. We're going to talk about sports betting. We're going to talk about fucking horse racing. We're going to talk about if Trump says something funny or stupid, or we're going to talk about fucking Putin, or we're going to talk about if there's I don't know. It's going to be all the dumb shit that you guys occasionally get in this Hawks by a Million.
All the reasons that the Iowa Hawkeye troll accounts come at me on Twitter for being stupid. Those are literally all the topics that are going to be on the Burn It Down podcast.
Right. And the Wash Up Walk-Ons, what you're listening to right now, is going to stay exactly what it is. We're not going to add in so much of the random stuff because that will fit in the other show. And you'll have the slightly more filled, condensed, thick episode full of just Iowa Hawkeye content. whenever that is pertinent. So basically we're adding another show to kind of our brand, the Burn It Down podcast, and it'll be coming soon. And we need a fucking logo. So all of you artists out there, hit us with a logo.
And have it something to do with money and a building on fire, because
Something
we're
on
trying
fire.
to burn Riverside to the ground.
Also with that,
To the ground.
the idea of us doing more shows, I know you got, like, especially me, it's hard to listen to me talk for a long time, and even I struggle with that. I hate listening to myself. I'm just super, again, narcissistic and stuff like that.
Well, easy fix there. Just don't listen to the podcast after you record it.
Right. But I have to edit it. The idea here is that as we grow as a brand, we bring on other people. We have different shows. Maybe the idea here is, like, Keith Duncan and I, don't hold us to it, but we've talked about when he graduates and when he has time, we've talked about doing a special teams podcast where instead of these fucking guys down on the Ray Guy Award and the Lou Grozo Award committees start deciding who's the best kicker in the nation, we talk about kickers, punters, long snappers across the country, what's going on in the special teams universe, and what the real shit is, what's actually going down, who's actually good.
Unless Keith's funny, that sounds like the worst podcast of all time.
Keith is funny. Again, I still think Coffee with Drake in the morning for like 10 minutes would be a hilarious show.
Me at 5 o'clock in the morning with my morning coffee, there are some real deep, articulate thoughts.
But this opens the possibility of, maybe guys graduate and they got some time on their hands. They want to talk something specific and they want to stay kind of under that Hawkeye nation. They want to stay with the Hawkeye fans that supported them. They come on, they have their own show, who knows? 5 years down the road, maybe we've got a Tyler Goodson, Kayvon Merriweather podcast going back and forth. The possibilities are endless.
And Mo Gooch, if you're listening to this podcast, we hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, for real. So that's 20 minutes of bullshit and a slight update. Let's get into some real stuff. Iowa football. That's what this podcast is based about. Haha.
Are we going to have Iowa football?
Well, first of all, I'm going to talk first about a conditioning workout. Got Snapchat from my brother on Friday. It's Sunday as we record this. Friday, the boys had 3 quarters. Okay. Now,
Good one.
3 quarters, starting to get a little hefty. And you catch the right day, 3 quarters can hurt a lot.
Especially if there's anything going on before it.
Which there always is. So I thought this would be fun. Hawkeye Nation, if you're feeling like a piece of shit lately and lazy and you feel like you want to go and get some exercise in, here's your Hawkeye football workout of the week. 3 quarters. You're going to need 55 yards, probably a little more so you can run through the line. Give yourself about 75 yards. Go find a high school field or practice field somewhere. Cone it out, mark it out.
But make sure you're Corona safe. Make sure that
Right, wear your mask.
social distancing recommendations.
Get your glades out.
Yep. Put on your cleats from 20 years ago, your Nike Elites, and mark yourself out every 5 yards. You're going to run 3 different kinds of reps. You're going to run a 55-yard sprint. You need to finish in 9 seconds. We're going to go line times for these people at home. You need to run a 60-yard shuttle, and you're going to do 15
Which
yards
is
out.
15 and back, 15 and back.
15 out, 15 back, 60 yards. You got to run that one in 13, and a cut 85 rep. So a cut 85 is you go half of a 60, and then a 50.
15 back, and then the full 55.
Right. So those are your 3 reps. You're going to run in 3 quarters 9 55s, 6 60s, and 3 cut 85s for a total of 18 reps.
So
And-
1 quarter is
Yeah.
one quarter is 3 55s, 2 60s, and 1 cut 85. Do that 3 times.
Yeah, give yourself about 3 minutes rest in between. Come back and let us know how you did. All right. That's what the boys did on Friday.
I think it's like 25 seconds at rest after a 55, 45 seconds after a 60, and then a full minute after a cut 85, something like that.
Broderick Binns has taken over as executive director of, hold on, I want to get it right, executive director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The university has created a brand new position. This is for the entire.
You know what I heard? You know what I heard in that whole thing? I heard a former player now exec at the university. That's all I got to know. This guy went from being a beast on the field to now he's an executive. We're making it. We're making it.
Yeah.
10 years. He's playing 10 years ago.
Yep.
Now he's an executive AD.
That is across the entire athletic department for all sports, women's, men, a brand new position that Broad has taken over. Literally nobody better for that position. It wasn't his title, but it basically, I mean, it relates very closely to what he was already doing for the football team and the freshman football players, and just helping players just feel
so.
right.
Like his position was huge around the freshmen transitioning into college, and then like he's just a guy that you can go to for help, whether it's with classes or you need help finding a place to live. Like if you need help with something, ask Broad. Broad can get you help.
Yeah. And so he's been basically named that spot, plus the diversity aspect of it, the inclusion, the whole kind of in the name and in the spirit of this racial disparity progression that we're on. He's been named basically the head guy to deal with that. And I couldn't be happier. Broad's a good dude.
Broad's just been grinding his way, dude. He's been grinding from the every former player spot where they just don't want to leave football, so they get into like a GA spot and try and go somewhere. A ton of players do it. He did it from there all the way to the exec.
Yeah, and this leaves a spot open. Broad's position in the Iowa football complex now means it means there's a spot open. I feel like another player is going to fill that role.
Do you know who the temporary fill-in right now is?
Is it Lomax?
Is it Kevin Ward?
No.
Oh.
Sam Brinks.
Oh,
Really?
turn up, bro.
Sammy Brinks. Let's go.
Sandy is the interim position fill for that guy.
Man.
Sam's perfect for that.
Yeah. So Sam was working with recruiting.
Yeah.
Sam was working with recruiting. And now he's backfilling Broad's spot, and I'm not. I mean, the university's on a hiring freeze right now, just because Corona, no money, all that shit. So he might be in that position for a while.
I think he could be great at it.
Shout out to Sam Brinks, a.k.a. the single best special teams player that Iowa's ever had, or the single best special teams play, not field goal. A.k.a. I'm just trying to shit on Kluver because Sam's catch was way better than Kluver's.
You know him as the guy who caught the fake field goal pass touchdown.
Should have won the Heisman.
Yeah, should have won the Heisman. I think Brinks would have – he would be – I mean, he's young. He's only a couple years out, but I think he knows the program. All you need is somebody who knows the program, and they could do great at that job. And we're going to bring old Sammy on the podcast because –
So I talked to Sand already, and he said, hey, man, I'm working at the university. He's like, I can't – it would have to be cleared.
It's going to get cleared because I've been contacted by people in the freaking organization. They love the pod, especially during all this. I mean, Seth Wallace, he got.
Oh man, Coach Wallace called me too. I gave him a virtual hug, man.
You guys got some
coronavirus
hole on that podcast, man.
So that's funny. I actually saw Sam the other day. He was over at our house, and there's some football guys that live across the street. He's like, yeah, it's around 10 o'clock, so it's about my time to do my rounds around Iowa City, make sure there's nobody out doing anything they're not supposed to. So I'm just gonna pull a seat up on your porch and make sure, hey, you stay home.
Get back in that house. All right.
That's hilarious.
Don't even think about it.
Sam went from having to be the one scared of getting snitched on to being the snitch, man. It's tough.
It's
growing up. Life hits you quick, bro. He went from hiding to being the one getting hidden from.
All those responsibilities that adulthood brings. Trying to really avoid those.
Yeah. I heard big news. Curfew is bar closed now. Unless you're a freshman, unless you're under 21.
Really?
Yeah.
Trey's pissed.
You know how many fun times could have been had between 1 and 2? I was doing some good work between 12:30 and 1 on several occasions, and that work could have been finished and done with between 1 and 2. But here we are.
Hey, Drake, don't blame your inability to close on the 1 o'clock curfew, okay?
Yeah.
I know, man.
If you didn't get it done by 1 o'clock, it wasn't happening.
I just thought it spiel.
I mean, we can talk about closing all day long, but let's move on. The Big Ten Conference, in conjunction with the world news of Corona still being a thing, by the way, the Big Ten Conference decided that they're only going to play conference games this year. We'll look further into that. Me personally, real shitty. I don't think we're going to have college football. But let's talk about the conference only thing. What did you guys think about that when you saw it?
It just makes me feel like we're not going to have football. It just makes me feel like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Nope. Not a fan.
It's like the NFL. Did you see the NFL's stay 6 feet away at the end of the game? You can't trade jerseys. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
like, what the
Bobs,
fuck?
We just played each other, you dumb shit morons.
Yeah, it's like the most intimate, like, personal contact game in the goddamn country. It's like, okay, after the end of 60 minutes, well, if you can't get it by
give
then,
each other your jerseys.
yeah.
It was it's interesting because I saw a proposal. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I do know one thing. You and
Like,
I
what does tell me what sense it makes, dude, that they're still going to let you play 10 games, but you can't play 13 just because you can't travel conferences. But Iowa could travel to Penn State or Ohio State, etc. Like all around the Midwest to the East. We can go to Nebraska out west. That covers half of the country. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think that
I want to say, I'm speculating here, is that so that they can control like the standards of safety and testing, whatever, like within the Big Ten. But me just thinking out loud, it's like, okay, well, just call up the other conferences and say, hey, are we all on the same page on this? So because you're right, is it really
cancel rivalry games just because of coronavirus?
Is it actually safer to go fly to Penn State versus having Iowa State drive 2 hours over here?
Right, and I think here was one argument, and maybe a better explanation of why they went to this is assume you take away 3 non-conference games, and you already have 1 bye week during the year. So I think the idea here is as long as every university, internally is on their shit, we got a guy on COVID, get him quarantined, make sure no one else has been infected, whatever, yada yada, on the inside of their program. With 3 extra weeks during the season, you can stick in a bye week every 2 weeks, which then from the bye week so say you start the season game 1, game 2, you finish game 2, from game 2 to game 3 is 14 days, right? So it's about that window of like quarantine or like reset period if you want to kind of settle down and make sure your team is still good and everything's under control. Then you play 3 and 4. After game 4, another bye week. Till game 5, another 14 days. And so you kind of put these periods of spaced out time in there where maybe you can kind of control it more. My thing is this, like, there's going to be teams all over the country spitting COVID on each other while they play those games. Like, not a team in the country is safe.
And like, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If classes are all online, and the players understand, because I guarantee the players in the locker room understand, regardless of the bullshit that's on Twitter about, they're trying to get their check, like, they don't want to play for free if there's health risk. They know damn well that they're not going to die from this stuff.
Right.
They are in the absolute lowest risk category of all time, and they're going to be isolated away from everybody anyways. So, let the kids play.
Yeah, to me, it's a thing where it's like, you got COVID, all right. Like, I almost want to say like, as long as you don't go anywhere else and it's just
They're
COVID,
already isolated. Class is online, man.
like maybe some staffs have some really old guys who are probably a little overweight from those training table diets, but like the team, like I doubt the team sees any effects. Like it's pretty universal that like guys our age that are healthy, talk about cardiovascular health. These guys cardiovascular health is at an all-time high going into the season. Those guys' cardiovascular symptoms are pretty good. Maybe Dr. Ward can talk about this, but you're a doctor, right?
No.
Oh,
But his last name's Ward, so give us something.
What do you want me?
I don't know. I just don't think like getting COVID is. I'll get canceled like a motherfucker for that. COVID's not a big deal, bro.
For 18 to 22-year-olds now, I've heard some people like get a fever and some body aches and a dry cough, but
right,
has them down for 3-4 days and then they bounce right back. That's like you said, unless they're unhealthy, I haven't heard any stories about
and I understand that it affects more than just the people in the program and whatever. When they came out with this Big Ten only schedule, there was a bunch of the over-unders came out on wins for the Big Ten. Ohio State 8 wins, Penn State 7.5, Wisconsin 7.5. They had Iowa at 4.5 wins.
The utter disrespect that we get always.
How can
right?
they say that when we don't even know what the 10th game is right now?
Right. This is just what I saw.
Why do we always get disrespected?
Can you imagine winning 5 games and it being like, that was an okay season? Or like winning 6 games? Like, how does bowl eligibility work if not all the teams?
No, I don't
think there's bowls this year.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard no bowl game.
No bowls, which then
so what are you playing for? Can you win a Big Ten championship? Can
I don't
you
think
still
so.
play an Indy?
That's what
you got. I mean, if you're gonna play the Big Tens,
you got to play an Indy.
There's no reason.
It doesn't matter if every fucking player. Yeah, it doesn't matter if every fucking player on both teams is puking up COVID baths on each other during that Big Ten championship. If you play the season,
every person. I'm telling you,
throw the managers in, man. Take a playbook from the water boy.
Let Seth Wallace run the ball.
Listen, man. Listen, I'm telling you, if you're a player and you're looking at the Big Ten championship, and the other team tells you like, hey, 50 of our players have COVID. all 22 starters have the vid. I'm signing a waiver and putting my uniform on immediately.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't care if they got Ebola or HIV and they have a bunch of open cuts on their body, man. I'm playing the Big Ten.
I'm playing the Big Ten championship, dude.
So here's back to our whole every man has his price. What is the level that finally stops you from playing in the Big Ten championship? Like landmines in Indianapolis? Like
landmines? If for some reason it was being held in Syria and it's the security guards are ISIS members, I might not consider playing in the Big Ten.
If they ran a listen to me. You know where I'm going. If they ran a pre-Big Ten championship marathon, and God forbid it got blown up like the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
I would still play the Big Ten championship later on that night.
What does that even have to do?
Like he asked about if every man has his price. I'm saying, like, I would go to that extreme and I would still play.
Dude,
if there was an act of terrorism in the city that day, I would still play that night. It's the Big Ten championship.
I don't know dude, I would do anything to play in another Big Ten championship. Anything.
Literally, I would give up the right to have children to win a Big Ten championship.
You don't want kids anyway.
But I'd give it up.
I thought he was going to come back with, I'd give up the rights to have your children, Kevin.
Yeah, I would forgo your rights for you if I could get a ring.
Well, that's fine for the next 5 years or so.
You think 5, Kev?
At least.
Okay. I was thinking longer for sure. Yeah, man. I don't know. So conference-only schedule. It just seems like that's the first step. And then
I mean, the Pac-12 announced conference only too, so it's only a matter of time before the other three do.
Right. All these teams get into training camp, and everyone's got COVID, and all of a sudden there's a thing like 1 week before the season, like, hey, NCAA football season's canceled. Which brings us to our next point.
And then Kevin can't go on his Vegas trip because there's nothing to bet on.
Right. What does the world do? We canceled basketball, or we postponed it.
You know, I'm very upset about the wrestling championship.
Wrestling championship was shitty.
Not happy about basketball. Don't really care that much about NBA or NHL.
I care a lot about the NBA, and I was very, very butthurt. I was ultra butthurt.
I can stomach half of baseball not playing.
But more than anything, the world runs on football. It runs on football.
I don't know what I would do. A year without college football, like, listen, I've been in a post-football player depressive state since January of 18. And if they take it away from me altogether, you might as well put me in a coffin, boys. That'll do it to me.
What I'm saying is, like, what not only what happens to this world, but, like, what do we do for the podcast, huh?
Podcast is over.
Podcast might be over.
We literally are just on the Burn It Down podcast only, and we're just betting on pro sports.
COVID Chronicles cancellation.
First of all, it's Corona Chronicles.
I'm like, here's my idea. And this is where we ask the fans who have been listening for a solid 40 minutes now. Send us your ideas. Because this is a real possibility.
How are we talking about this, though? How is this a real possibility, dude? Let the kids play! Let them play!
Okay, there's the doors are shaking in your house because they're scared.
The doors, the drywall, they're all scared.
Everything is scared. The brick pillars in your backyard.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they do cancel it, we asked the same question in the spring. Like, what does that mean for seniors? Like, do they not get an extra year?
Yeah. Like, we don't get to see
that affect scholarships for the next 5 years.
We don't get to see Keith Duncan kick again, boys.
Duncan. Like, imagine like you're a junior and like you spent 4 years just trying to like work your way up. You're finally about to be the starter,
yep.
You know, and you'll get your chance to play in front of the NFL scouts, and then
sorry.
Like this time next year, you're bagging groceries. Like, fucked. You're fucked.
Bagging groceries and
doing shitty podcasts.
Yeah, and selling footballs
I think the NFL will play just because there's so much money involved and like the players are being paid and shit like that.
I'm just like I'm just like it. So here's my idea. Give us some ideas on what we podcast over. I have 2 ideas for the season. So if there is no season, we go week by week and we take the opponent that we were supposed to play and we try and find an NFL. We have NFL connections, plenty of them. We try and find an NFL player.
Sick flex, bro.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we know people. And we try and find an NFL player that played for those organizations that can come on and talk about the rivalry and what it was like playing the Hawks when they played in college. And that's like at least 1 episode a week during the season. Or there's been a lot of requests in the past from y'all fans to go back and like I could pull up a YouTube video and just play it for us. And it's like a BTN 60 of like the fast recap of the game. And we like talk through our thoughts of like games that we played in.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be fun too.
CTE.
Can you imagine like if you're a player and they cancel the season, like do you just go through a second off season? Can you imagine like
Dude,
I thought about that
year straight of winter program?
My brother the other day when he snapped me about the 3 quarters, I was like, dude, guy, I don't think you're playing this year. And he's been on this wild, again, I'll tell his story if he ends up being a success. I'm not going to tell it now. But the fucking road that he's taken just to get into the program and the amount of time he's waited to just be able to work out and be a part of the team, let alone like now there's the corona hits. Spiewak Austin Spiewak in line to be the starting snapper this year, either him or my brother. And Spiewak sat behind me for 2 years, Jackson Subert for 2 years. Now he's ready. He took a red shirt. He's ready for his 5th season. And if they don't play, his college career is over. And he just got his 1 year of possible time playing taken away from Corona. Like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened, boys. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. They have to give him another year.
But do they give everybody another year or just the seniors? Because everyone gets a year taken.
You just got to act like the year didn't happen. You got to literally just act as if we time warped past 2020 to 2021.
And that's what I told Zach. I was like, you're just going to have to act like you played a season and you sat behind Spiewak and now it's your time and you just roll through next season and hope that everybody on earth gets a freaking Corona vaccine and we can go back to normal life. Because I don't know where this goes. When does normal life come back?
I don't know. I honestly feel like I should have a mask on right now.
What else did I have written down? No football at all. Will there be football? My vote, I guess if I'm leaning one way or the other, I'm putting all of my money on no football.
You have to.
That's
if I'm making the line, I'm saying no football is minus 170.
Yeah.
But see, look how close we are, though. Look how close we are with absolutely no idea.
I don't know.
You know, because they're –
Is it even
Hey, I'll go back to what I was saying before. Like, the NFL is going to play because those guys are getting paid to play, and they're, whatever. College, I kind of say like, hey, let the kids, if they want to play, if they let them play. Let them sign a waiver, whatever.
I'm with the waiver
because there's going to be some guys who don't feel comfortable playing or don't want to play because they feel like they're getting a raw deal out of it, whatever.
What about
there's some guys that need this season, like literally for their livelihood, for next year, for future games, and for like the NFL. They need it. Dude, those guys want to play. Don't let the ones complaining about like, them feeling like they're not safe to, not let those guys play,
Yeah.
I would hazard a guess that, 80% plus, given the opportunity to play this year, would gladly sign a waiver and say, I release the NCAA from any liability if I get COVID this year, yada, 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 to play this football season.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer. No one knows the answer. And I don't know where we go, but that's about 45 minutes of just catching up with you guys, the fans. Thanks for listening. You're listening to this on Monday or Tuesday. It came out on a Monday. Plan is for Thursday's episode to have Mr. Mo Gucci himself, Maurice Goodson, Tyler Goodson's father on, potentially his mother as well. We were supposed to be recording with him at the time of this recording. He got back to us. He did. He got caught up with work, wants to reschedule for tomorrow. So if we can get that in the evening, then we can get that accomplished. Otherwise, Drake and I will have to take that, and we're gonna catch up with him and talk Tyler Goodson and all things number 15 in the Hawkeye program. This was episode 128 of the Wash Up Walkons, and we have no idea what the world's doing or what the answers are, and we're all pissed, and we're just 3 25-year-olds who are yelling at microphones. That's it.
Kirk's dogs, baby.
Yep. Hawks by a million. Burn It Down podcast coming soon. Be on the lookout. Peace.